Hello everyone, AlphaSoul here, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be discussing another in my info series for Ashes of Creation. We're going to be focusing today on corruption in Ashes of Creation. Now, I had earlier said that there were two very important systems, in fact, in my opinion, the most important systems of Ashes of Creation. The first one is the node system. I've done a video on that already. But the second one is the corruption system. And the corruption system is really the system that governs the rules and conditions of PvP in Ashes of Creation. Now, before I dive too deeply into it, I want to go ahead and cover what the problem is that this corruption system is attempting to solve. Now, way back when, ever since MMOs have come about, even before in MUDs or multi-user dungeons, developers have tackled PvP and the interaction between players in different manners, right? One of the very first ones, Ultima Online, handled it with the karma system, which basically said the good things that you do, you gain good karma, and the bad things that you do, you gain bad karma. At the end of the day, Ultima Online was considered to be the great social experiment, if you will. And what ended up happening is most players ended up going towards the dark side, if you will, and ended up killing other players. Even if they did accrue negative karma, the penalties did not offset the benefits to actually going out killing other people. So it became, by far and large, a murder fest, if you will. There are many other things going along, but that's what ended up happening. And then as further games came along, like EverQuest, for example, they handled the PvP in a different manner. They said, hey, players are just going to go buck wild when you introduce a concept like this, so we're going to remove it from the game and only allow it on a specific server, which was Rallo-Zek at the time. But the rest of EverQuest, for the most part, did not have open world PvP areas that you can go in and just randomly start attacking another person, right? Other games further enhanced on this. World of Warcraft is a good example. World of Warcraft also had servers where you can open PvP as well, but it was more faction-based, Horde versus Alliance, and you can attack anyone from the other alliance freely within the world, right? But they also had other systems like Battlegrounds, 40 versus 40 Battlegrounds like Alterac Valley, where you can engage in PvP and more consensual PvP. On the normal servers, the PvE servers, you had to be in specific, you had to opt into these systems, if you will, in order to experience this PvP, but they had a more of a controlled basis. Games like Eve, changed it even further. You had high security areas, low security areas, null security areas, and that kind of went into its own thing. So the corruption system is Ashes of Creation's way of handling this. Now, on a broad scale in Ashes of Creation, you can attack anyone, anywhere for the most part, but there are consequences to doing so. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive in and start explaining the different states, right? There are 3 different states in Ashes of Creation, and then we're going to cover some other areas. So the first state is the green state. The green state is a non-combatant. All players start out as non-combatants, and as a non-combatant, you basically have to take a knowing step to opt in to attacking another player, right? It may be a toggle, and maybe something that is very clear. You won't haphazardly trip into attacking another player with like an area of effect spell or a heal or something like that. You will have to knowingly take that step, right? Now, there's another important aspect that I do need to explain before we go on, and that is your death penalty. The death penalty in Ashes of Creation is such that, as a non-combatant, you will lose 1 times the EXP. Now, when I say lose EXP, I don't actually mean lose EXP. You gain an EXP debt, and that EXP debt needs to be paid off before you can continue to advance in level, right? Now, another good way to think of it is, once in addition to that happening, sorry about that, you also take on skill and stat dampening effects, right? So if you die, your skills are less effective. Now, skill and stat dampening specifically refers to PvP, so that just happens in PvP, but you also have lower health, lower mana, lower gear proficiency. You're not as good with your gear as you can. You let monsters drop less, the durability drops less, or is less. And is also you also drop a percentage of raw materials or certificates that you're carrying, depending on whether it's on your mule or on yourself. That will happen when you die. So there is a tangible death penalty, even if you just die normally within the game. That's the first state. The second state is the purple state, which is the combatant state. Now, there are 2 ways to become a combatant. One, if you attack another non-combatant as a non-combatant, you become a combatant, right? You become purple, right? So that means you are the aggressor, if you will. The second way to become a combatant is if you are a green person and you attack back, or you attack another combatant who is already purple, you will also become purple. This is consensual PvP, if you will. You're openly acknowledging, hey, I'm going to go ahead and fight right now, so this is what we're going to do, right? Now, a combatant is there's one additional way, which includes a couple, and that is participating in open world battlegrounds, right? So that means there are different systems within Ashes of Creation, like the caravan system, castle sieges, node sieges, objective-based guild wars. Those things all will additionally make you a combatant and be free to and open to attack, which will make other people combatants as well too. Now, as a combatant, you take half of the penalties that somebody who is a non-combatant would take, right? So, for example, it'll be half the EXP debt. You'll be, you lose half of the quote-unquote materials that you drop. You'll be, half less effective. Everything is half as much. And the purpose of that is to encourage combat and to encourage people to engage with one another should the opportunity do arise, right? So there is a benefit to dying as a combatant. Now let's talk about the very third stage. The third stage is where things get interesting, and that is the corruption stage, which is red or corrupted. There are a couple ways. So basically, gaining corruption makes you corrupt, right? And there are levels to corruption. So it's not just you're in the red state, but there are different levels of corruption, and that will actually be reflected on your player character. But anyways, if you kill a non-combatant, not just attack, if you kill a non-combatant, you gain corruption. The more corruption you have, the worse the penalties are for dying. But in general, it's been stated that you're going to experience four times as opposed to a non-combatant, the penalties. So 4 times the XP debt when you die. When you drop, you're going to drop weapons and gears, which can be looted by other players. There are going to be skill dampening effects. You're going to be, obviously 4 times the much. You're going to be that much less effective against other players. When you die, rather than going to a specific location or respawning at a specific location, you're going to respawn randomly throughout the world. Your location is revealed to bounty hunters that exist within the world that will be able to track you down and, thus kill you to get their bounty. Though you can defend yourself against bounty hunter players, right? So the basic gist of this is, as a corrupted player, you will be free to obviously kill other people, but there will be a severe penalty once you die, or there will be a severe penalty that you take on, basically. Not necessarily once you die, but that you take on, right? Now, how do you remove corruption? There's a couple ways to remove corruption. One, death, right? If you die, then you'll remove a significant portion of corruption. However, multiple deaths may be required depending on how much corruption you actually have. If you gain experience, you can work off some of that corruption. There may be some quests, and the duration for corruption may be reduced within military nodes, right? So let's summarize this corruption system, and I'm going to put an interesting chart here that you can go ahead and see. So here you go. Let's start off at the left. As a non-combatant, remember, if you attack another non-combatant, you become purple, right? You become a combatant. If you attack a combatant, purple, then you become purple as well. This encourages that open world PvP fighting back, if you will, just in a natural state. If as a non-combatant you attack a corrupted player, you still remain a non-combatant, right? So that covers the non-combatant route. Let's move on to the combatant route. As a purple player, if you attack a green player, if you kill a green player, not attack. If you kill a green player, you will become corrupted. In other words, somebody who has not fought back and you attack and you kill them, you'll become corrupted. And depending on that level disparity, you'll gain more or less corruption depending on how big that difference actually is. In other words, if somebody is the same level as you, it'll be minimal. It'll be not as harsh as compared to somebody who is, 20 levels lower than you. It'll be more harsh. If as a combatant you kill another combatant, you still remain a combatant. Nothing actually happens. If as a combatant you kill a corrupted, again, no change. You still are a combatant, no harm, no foul. Let's move on to the corruption, the final area. If you are a corrupted player, in other words, you've already killed a non-combatant and you are in that corruption state. If you kill another non-combatant, your corruption is going to increase, right? That corruption penalty and score is going to increase. If you kill a combatant, on the other hand, in other words, somebody who's knowingly, who is already flagged for combat, there will be no change. It's just like you were fighting in the world. If you kill another corrupted player, there's going to be no change as well too. You are already corrupted. So this is the overall situation, if you can, that governs the PvP. It encourages mutual PvP, if you will, but at the same time discourages wanton killing of people who aren't that into it or don't want to get killed by PvP. So that is very key in understanding how the corruption system works within Ashes of Creation. Now, if you have any specific questions on corruption, please feel free to leave it down below and I will do my best to answer them. All right. This is a work in progress from Ashes of Creation, and they have stated multiple times that they're going to see how this feels within alpha and within beta, and what happens depending on that. Some slight things may change, depending on some of the feedback for it. So it's important that as we enter into the system, we give the feedback on how it works. Me personally, I'm pretty excited for it. I like the concept. It just remains to be seen how it actually gets implemented. So that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, guys. Take care of yourselves. Alpha Soul out.